They say that one man's garbage is another man's treasure. Thanks to the popularity of picking and garage sales, as well as ever-popular online outlets such as eBay, this saying couldn't be any more true. In your house right now, there could be many things worth a fair amount of money. No, we're not talking about that diamond ring or new TV, but things that you wouldn't look twice at. Turns out, some of the stuff you may be thinking of tossing out could fetch you a lot of green. Furby. If you were a kid or had kids in the late 1990s, there's a good chance you had one of these strange robotic toys. In fact, Furbies continued to be so popular they were re-released a number of times over the past several years. That said, if you have an original 1998 toy in the box or one of the rare special edition releases, it might just be worth something. eBay even has a dedicated page on how to buy a Furby, and a look around online will show you that some of them can fetch upwards of several $100s. Records. Despite it being an obsolete technology, records still have a strong following by audiophiles, fans of music history, and of course, hipsters. There's a good chance you or your parents might have a dusty stack somewhere in the house. Long replaced by new formats of music, there still remains a big market for records, especially certain releases. Various releases from the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, David Bowie, and Bob Dylan can be worth anywhere from thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. Old magazines. Other than the odd celebrity gossip magazine you buy at the supermarket checkout, does anyone really read these anymore? Before you go ahead and throw out that pile of old magazines, take a look through, because there might just be a gem. For example, National Geographic magazines can be a real collector's item with certain very old issues fetching anywhere from a couple hundred to a few $1,000s. Playboy magazine is another highly collectible magazine, and if you have an excellent condition October 1993 with Jerry Seinfeld or the December 1953 with Marilyn Monroe, they can be worth thousands. Paintings and art. To be honest, most of the art in your house isn't worth very much and has likely been mass-produced and sold at chains across the country. Nonetheless, there's every possibility you may have a print that is actually worth a few bucks. You'd be surprised how many people have sold valuable pieces at garage sales for a few bucks only to regret it later. A potentially valuable sketch by a 10-year-old Andy Warhol, a $2 million Picasso painting, and a $50 million Jackson Pollock all sold at garage sales for peanuts. VHS tapes. Like records, VHS is a video format which has long been surpassed by newer technology. 20 years ago, if you wanted to watch a movie, almost everyone turned to the VHS player. Today, there are more than a few homes where those tapes have been stashed in a back room or a basement. For the most part, the tapes aren't worth very much at all. Of course, if you happen to have the original release of Star Wars or some really rare and obscure B horror movies, there are collectors who are willing to spend at least a few $100s to get their hands on that copy. Old advertisements. If you've ever watched any shows about antique hunting or restoration, you know there is money to be made from old signs and posters. In fact, old signs are so popular that the market has been flooded with cheap reproductions so everyone can have them in their man caves and garages. Nevertheless, originals from the mid-20th century can net you a lot of money if you have one sitting around your attic or basement. Got an old but original Texaco or Gulf gasoline sign? Depending on condition, it could be worth hundreds of dollars. Money. Why on earth would you sell money to make money? Well, certain coins can be worth a lot more than face value. For instance, old, discontinued Canadian $2 bills can be worth thousands if they are from a certain year. For example, a $2 bill from 1986 with AUH in the serial number sold at auction for $10,000. For coins, condition is everything, and there are a bunch of quarters, nickels, and dimes from the 1930s that could potentially fetch thousands of dollars. So when you're cleaning out that room used for storage, check all that spare change carefully. Happy Meal toys. Yep, it turns out there is something that comes from McDonald's that gets better with age. Remember when you'd go to the Golden Arches, get a Happy Meal, and there'd be a toy included? The vast majority of kids trashed or lost their toys. However, if you survived eating that much fast food, and should you have kept all the toys in mint condition, they can be worth a decent amount today. For instance, a complete 1997 Beanie Babies set can get you around $350. A complete and mint Furby set can demand around $900. Old books. In the age of the internet and the ebook, actual physical books are something many people overlook. This might be a good thing if you happen to have a pile of old books sitting around collecting dust. The key here is that the value is almost always tied to the first edition of a book. For instance, a first edition of The Catcher in the Rye, The Hobbit, or even Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat have sold for anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. Cards. Collecting and trading cards is a big business. Just ask anyone who has a 1909 to 1911 Hornus Wagner baseball card valued at $2.8 million. Realistically, you don't have this in your house. That said, if you have kids or grew up in the 90s, you likely have some Pokemon cards sitting around, and yes, they can have value. The vast majority are worth nothing, but if you have a rare special edition, pre-release, Gold Star, or Shining Star in excellent condition, they can be worth anywhere from a few hundred to a few $1,000s. Alright, that's it. We leave you to go scrounge around your basements to see if you've got thousands of dollars in garbage sitting around down there. But while you're here, might we recommend that you check out some of these videos? We think you'll enjoy them, and please don't forget to click like and subscribe. Thanks!